Okay, everybody, we're going to get started with this next session. The next session is a collaboration on drug susceptibility testing development. I was struck by the last speaker on ethics of the tuberculosis development of drug resistance testing and drugs, etc. And he said one of the interviewers that he spoke with said that there was a lack of enthusiasm and energy for TB, and a sense of old boys network, and that we're kind of mired and not moving fast enough forward. Well, for one, I would like to say that person clearly was never in the room with Madhu when he said lacking enthusiasm and energy. So I think we need to get that interviewer in the room with Madhu to see where the energy and enthusiasm for TB comes. The other thing is about being sort of the sense that TB is mired and not moving anywhere and not moving fast. And I have to admit, I feel the same way often, as I'm sure a lot of you do too. There's this thing that I see so much in drug susceptibility testing, that there's a sense in the academics of the review panels for NIH, for example, when I get back comments from those reviews saying, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about, we're long past this, you're talking about a technology that's too old. I then go into the field and say, oh no, there's no way we're going to put that in place, that's way too new. And so there's this sense of this difference between the people that are making decisions about how money is spent and where and on what, and the people that are using their technology or not using their technology because it's actually not available. And so there's a tension there all the time. There was a tension even yesterday when talking about NGS. I just jumped into talking about the practicalities of NGS, and some people are saying, why are you even talking about NGS? We've got great PCR methodologies, etc. So as we move forward in our own perspective areas of expertise, we start taking things for granted, we start moving in certain areas, and it's good for us to be in rooms like this to be reminded about all the things that we're taking for granted and bringing ourselves back. So with that said, we have a session here today that is a nice mix of forward advanced thinking, pragmatic empiric thinking, and then a lot of pragmatic empiric thinking about things like molecular diagnostics, the drug resistance prediction by genomics, and where it is, where it's going, and how to make practical use of that. And so we have four speakers. The first speaker is I'll introduce them all, and then we'll just have them come up one at a time. And if we could hold questions to the end, I think, Alicia, is that the best way to do that? Hold questions, I think, to the end, as we'll have them all up on the panel afterwards. So the first speaker is Maha Farhat from Harvard, and Maha is going to be talking about an argument for machine learning, so looking way into the future and looking some very exciting work that she's doing in terms of looking at the prediction of phenotypic resistance using genotypes, but always with a really pragmatic view on making this work for the people that need it, which is I really love about Maha's work. The next person is going to be Paolo Miotto. If ever there was an intellectual engine behind a system, ReSeq-TB in this case, Paolo Miotto is that intellectual engine in terms of making things work. We get a lot of experts in a room thinking about a lot of things for ReSeq-TB, and Paolo essentially turns that thinking into actual things that come out the other end of the pipeline, which is always very nice to see. So Paolo will be talking about a very different approach than Maha is talking about, and he'll be talking about the very empiric approach of how we take data within a database and turn it into meaningful predictions about phenotypic drug resistance. The next we're going to have speaking is Jeff Tornheim. Jeff Tornheim is from Hopkins University. I've only been working with Jeff for a short while now. He's currently based in Mumbai, right at the heart and in the thick of things in terms of looking at things that need to be done today, not tomorrow, not the next day, but he's already basically looking at ways to put NGS into play right away. It already is in play. He's trying to make it more pragmatic and more useful, and so he's looking at the back end. Once the Mahas and the Paolos have done their great work and spat out a mutation at the back end, what is it going to mean? How is a physician, somebody like Jeff, Jeff being the next generations of physicians to using this data, how are they going to make sense of that data and take it home all the way to deciding what treatment is? And then finally, we're going to have Damien Dooley from the University of British Columbia. And Damien's going to be talking about the ontology and proof set application. Again, language standards, how to think about making this data useful. And so with that, we will start with Maha, please.